Watch this.
Huge news in the working world. The Federal Trade Commission voted to ban non-compete agreements this week. We talked to a lawyer to clarify what that means for Idaho's workforce. Idaho's Secretary of State did some clarifying for us today, too, about some laws that aren't actually laws. They were just talked about. Remember we talked about that voter guide? Well, we got the end result for you. Is it coming your way? Want a break from the land of the living? The Discovery Center of Idaho is taking people to the land of, well, the not living, the dead. It's part of their newest exhibit. Today we're giving you a sneak peek of mummies of the world. Well, hundreds of thousands of Idahoans are preparing for a new relationship with their employers. The Federal Trade Commission voted just this week to ban non-compete agreements, contract clause that some states, including Idaho, have upheld for decades. And Andrew Bartline dug into this today for us. A lot of interest in this. And Andrew, you learned the scope in the gem state is actually bigger than originally anticipated.
Yeah, it's bigger than we originally understood it to be. So the FTC estimates that there's 600,000 Idahoans that are bound by some form of a non-compete agreement. Can argue on whether you believe that is accurate or not, but that's what they have in their documents. And in simple terms, it's a contract clause that prevents an employee from taking a different job with a competing company. These non-competes can be enforced up to a year and a half after an employee leaves work with that original company. The FTC argues this keeps worker wages down, and overall it creates a business system that mostly benefits corporations and employers over consumers and employees. Banning the agreements could be a big shift in Idaho's job economy, but it will take some time before anything is final.
This rule doesn't go into effect for 120 days from yesterday. And that's assuming that it won't be stayed in the courts, which it's largely anticipated that that will happen. The FTC authority is being directly challenged already because frankly, we knew this was coming. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce was primed to file that lawsuit in the Eastern District of Texas. But if you are a business that largely uses non-competes, you can be thinking ahead to what you're going to have to do under this rule. It requires you to give a notice to any employee who's currently under a non-compete that it won't be enforced.
Now, that's Alex Grandy. She's an attorney here in Idaho specializing in the field. She says she's spending most of her day explaining to her clients that being a business who relies on non-competes, what they should or shouldn't be doing. That includes that notification process. Grandy adds the rule does not include senior executives that make policy decisions for their companies and pull in large six-figure salaries. Now, that cap is at about $150,000 a year. People above that, this wouldn't apply to them. Corporations like those non-competes because it protects them, though the FTC says there are more or less harmful ways, I should say, that can preserve those same protections.
What they think employers should be using are NDAs, narrowly tailored non-solicitation agreements, and common law trade secret protections that exist in almost every state. At some level, they think that's sufficient and that you don't need to restrict an employee from compete with a non-compete. But other businesses use them to protect what they would call their legitimate business interest. But for folks at lower level positions in the company who feel, what do I know about the company? What trade secrets or confidential information do I have? I shouldn't be subject to a non-compete. I think that's a pretty common refrain.
For now, Grandy says this is a game of hurry up and wait. She mentioned legal challenges from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce could result in a stay to pause that temporarily, that rule. That would put that new FTC rule on pause, though currently the 120-day countdown to when it would normally take effect, that is business as normal. There are roughly 30 million Americans, Joe, that are bound by some form of non-compete, and it would change the landscape across the country for states that allow it. Washington, not so much more recently. California hasn't been a fan of these for a long time, but that relationship would change because traditionally, hey, we'll relocate you to the area, you can work for us, but once you're done working here, you cannot compete in this town with another company that competes with us.
And it's interesting because those that are in support of it say this is about job creation and they want to have more creativity in that entire, I guess, fields across the country. But you can understand, too, from the employer's perspective that if Andrew, the employee, has secrets, I don't want him to go to my competitor and, well, I'll do my business. So a lot to weigh here for the courts. Well, when it gets to the courts.
Yeah, and there is a challenge in Texas. We'll see if there's an injunction, if there is a stay. But again, hurry up and wait's the game right now.
Okay, well, we will hurry up and wait. Thank you so much, Andrew. We are less than a month away from the May primary election. Tuesday, May 21st, is Election Day. Deadline to register online, April 26th, tomorrow. Deadline to request an absentee ballot is May 10th. But don't wait, do it sooner. Very famously, the Idaho legislature is done for the year for now, off to campaign for said primary. Before they went home, though, Idaho lawmakers had a lot of ideas on election laws, changing laws, creating new ones, but the dust settled with a lot to track. And ahead of Election Day next month, we sat down with Idaho Secretary of State Phil McGrain today at Jump, Jack's urban meeting place in downtown Boise. Beautiful community spot if you haven't checked it out. And while we were there, Secretary McGrain and I worked to track what became law, what failed, and what you, the people of Idaho, need to know. If you search through all the pitches made during the 2024 legislative session, a simple search for election, voter, or ballot topics show more than 20 ideas. Everything from a voter guide to election signs to even creating a new government office to investigate election crimes. Surviving the State House can be a tough task for proposed legislation. So where did the dust settle?
We do get a lot of questions about different things, largely because viewers have seen coverage throughout the legislative session about ideas that came up, and not all those ideas have come to fruition. So it's good just to get out, what's actually happening, how have our elections changed or not changed, just whatever the case may be.
Secretary of State Phil McGrain and his elections team are getting ready for the May primary around the state. Something to take note of. What are election days in Idaho?
Probably one of the biggest changes is just when we hold elections. So there was a bill, it was a property tax bill that removed the August election date. So moving forward, it will only be May and November in which we will vote in the state of Idaho. And so that's actually a pretty significant change, especially to school districts and other entities who've relied on those smaller August elections.
Preparing for the election as a voter can be time-consuming. So did the pitch for a state-issued voter guide hit the mark?
One of the personal things for me that was a big one that got a lot of attention was the voter guide. We really wanted to get more information out to voters. You've seen the Vote Idaho website upgrades and everything there. Unfortunately, the voter guide itself with candidate information did not get all the way through the legislative process. I've had lots of voters asking, like, when am I going to get it in the mail? And unfortunately, that's not going to happen. There will be the voter pamphlet for the constitutional amendment in November, but that's it. There will not be any additional candidate information at that time.
You may have heard conversations or concerns at the State House about absentee ballots. Many ideas were floated on how to drastically change the process. So, what do we need to know?
Realistically, nothing changed. People are requesting absentee ballots. We already have tens of thousands of absentee ballots out in the mail for the May primary election. Voters can request them. Also, many voters have already seen those request forms coming to them from candidates or political parties or others. All that process stayed the same.
The term ballot harvesting was focused on by lawmakers, touching on the concept of a person or group taking a whole collection of absentee ballots to manipulate the process. A few versions of the idea were pitched, including one that would have really limited who can touch a ballot. Secretary McGrain has this takeaway on the final law.
One of the bills that did change was regarding ballot harvesting. I know there's talk about that. That's really targeted towards candidates and campaigns and saying that they shouldn't be handling people's voted ballots. It has really no change for the voters. So if you need to take your roommate's ballot or a family member's ballot and drop it off, all those things are still acceptable and fine. It was really just saying candidates, campaigns, don't handle ballots.
If you need to register to vote, get it done soon. And if you're having an Idaho ID problem, and maybe you just moved here, maybe you don't have one, Secretary McGrain wants to remind you, Idahoans, there is a free program to get a state-issued ID. And Friday, tomorrow, is the deadline to register in advance of the election. But if for some reason a voter doesn't get it online or get it done today or tomorrow, you can still register at the polls on Election Day. Just make sure to bring your photo ID and proof of residence, and you can register when you vote at your local polling location. now know when the memorial service will be for an Ada County deputy, Tobin Bolter, who was killed over the weekend in the line of duty. He was shot and killed at a traffic stop in Boise. Our Abby Davis tells us about the funeral plans, plus other news around the 208 in today's 411.
Paintball gun, and he was and he was going to shoot at me.
A high-ranking law enforcement officer from eastern Idaho was back on the stand this morning in day 11 of the triple murder trial against Chad Daybell. He's the eastern Idaho man accused of murder and conspiracy in the deaths of his late wife Tammy, as well as two of his current wife's kids, JJ and Tylee. Vince Kamanu talked about purchases Lori's brother Alex Cox made before an attempted shooting of Tammy at the Daybell home 10 days before she died. Tammy thought it was a paintball gun. A rifle was recovered from Alex's Rexburg apartment. Kamanu said Tammy might have mistaken the large scope on top of it for a paintball gun hopper. The prosecution later showed photos of Alex's gun and a paintball gun to show how easy it could be to confuse the two. Tammy died October 19, 2019, of what was later confirmed as asphyxiation. Alex died in December 2019 of natural causes. Chad's trial continues tomorrow. A memorial service is set for Deputy Tobin Bolter, who died after he was shot during a traffic stop over the weekend. Ada County Sheriff's Office said Deputy Bolter's memorial is next Tuesday, the 30th at 3 p.m. There will be a private indoor service for loved ones in law enforcement at the Ford Idaho Center in Nampa. The service will be live streamed for the community in the Ford Idaho Center's outdoor amphitheater and online right here on KTVB. Tomorrow, the Valley County Sheriff's Office is having a candlelight vigil at the Sheriff's Office in Cascade. That starts at 9 p.m. Then Monday, another vigil will be in Blaine County at the Public Safety Facility in Haley at 5:30 p.m. We have more information on how to help at ktvb.com. Governor Brad Little, Boise Mayor Lauren McLean, and Sanjay Mehrotra, the CEO of Micron, were in New York with President Biden today as he announced a $6.1 billion grant for Boise-based Micron to boost American chip manufacturing. The funding will help Micron produce more advanced memory computer chips in Idaho and New York. It will go towards supporting Micron's investment in the new fabrication plant in Boise, which broke ground back in October. It's the single largest private investment in Idaho's history. Heads up if you're planning on driving near the Boise Town Square Mall this weekend. Milwaukee Street from West Park to Franklin Road will be closed Friday to Monday. Crews will be working to replace the railroad crossing. Drivers will still be able to access businesses during the closure. The National Park Service and Fish and Wildlife just announced a decision to actively restore grizzlies to the North Cascades where they once roamed. The agencies say they will relocate grizzlies from parts of the Rocky Mountains or interior British Columbia with the goal of 3 to 7 bears per year for a period of 5 to 10 years. The decision is a result of a process that began in 2022. And that's the 411 on the 208. I'm Abby Davis.
Are you afraid of ghosts? How about mummies? Well, then you might not want to check out the Discovery Center of Idaho's newest exhibit featuring real mummies from around the world. Or maybe you find it fascinating. This is the spot for you. We will tell you all about it just ahead. Maybe you want to tell us what you're afraid of. No, just kidding. We want to focus on the 208. Text us your questions, comments, concerns, really anything to the number on your screen. It's 208-321-5614. Please include your name so we know who to give credit to, and hashtag the 208 so we know it's for us. Keep them clean, concise, and clever. We'll get to these as many as we can at the end of the show. The Discovery Center of Idaho is getting a spooky new exhibit. The traveling exhibition is one of the largest collections of real mummies and artifacts in the entire world. It's called Mummies of the World. The exhibition, and we're going to give you a look at it before it opens this weekend.
Well, the biggest thing that I'd like to discuss is the recognition that these were people. They lived these awesome lives, and because of the mummification, whether natural or by humans, they're still here. So their story's still ongoing. And as we learn more science, we learn more information. As we learn more about a culture, we learn more about the heartwarming things that they did for each other. It's not just a bunch of bodies laying there. They still care for them and treat them. My favorite fun facts are all the different ages of everybody. I think that's really cool, and how they interact with their own culture's material. Like the Egyptians, you know, you get put in a tomb and that's it. They know you've passed into the afterlife and move forward. But like with the Peruvians, so to speak, they actually take their bundle mummies with them and continue to bring food to them and really maintain a day-to-day life. So I think those differences are pretty cool. Natural mummification happens with extreme weather, basically, is what it's really hot, it's really cold, it's all those different variances that we live in throughout our globe causes a lot of different mummification to come through. And those things are pretty cool because they never were intended to be around. And so you learn extra things. You know, what were they eating? You learn about their nutritional, what was going on at the time, how broken are they under x-rays, and we get DNA off of this too. You can get a lot of information from these things. So I think it's cool that science is what we know today, but it will change as we know more information. I love that. I think it's beautiful and stunning, and I hope you learn about the cultures, and I hope you learn more about the physical processes versus, you know, the human processes within the exhibition. It's fabulous, and I hope you guys have a great time here.
Wow, that's fascinating. I remember learning as a kid at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science just how much they could glean from just a mummy and all the history they could get from it. It's pretty incredible, so I will be checking this out if you'd like to as well. Mummies of the World, the exhibition, it opens Saturday and will be at the Discovery Center of Idaho until this fall. You can visit the Discovery Center Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and Sunday from noon to 4:30. A reminder to go and grab your St. Jude Dream Home giveaway tickets. There is some time left. 2,100 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath home located in the Shelburne community in Meridian. Tickets to win this house. You can win a whole house for $100. If you buy a ticket by May 3rd, you'll also be entered to win some other special early bird prizes, including this brand new 2023 Ford truck. And money raised during this event, it really benefits St. Jude's Children's Hospital. In 18 years, you, the great people of Idaho and beyond, have helped raise more than $16 million for families and their kids in need. The easiest and quickest way to go buy a ticket is online, dreamhome.org. But if you want to talk to someone, you can call the number on your screen. That is 1-800-537-8939. The winner will be announced right here on KTVB on June 2nd.
love those springtime flowers. This is my favorite time of year, partially because everything starts growing again, including the flowers. We get a little bit of green, and also for me, a little bit of everything when it comes to weather. And so that's what we're expecting today. For the most part, we've been pleasant. We've had a mix of sunshine and clouds, breezy conditions today, and this view looking east doesn't look like there's too much precipitation on our way. But if you look to the west, you'd find a very different picture. But right now, those temperatures are still comfortable. We've seen those get up to 70 degrees in many Treasure Valley spots, in the upper 50s in the mountains, and above 60 degrees over in Haley, and at the mid 60s for Magic Valley spots. But I mentioned we do have some moisture on the way. We're seeing some of those light showers in eastern Oregon right now, ahead of a cold front that will be bringing us the chances of showers and isolated thunderstorms tonight. So here's where some of that moisture is right now. Lightly raining in La Grande right now. Some of that moisture making its way closer to Ontario. So as this continues to move eastward, we'll see some light showers fill in ahead of the cold front. But the cold front will be bringing some of those stronger showers and again, the chances of isolated thunderstorms. So that front just about to make its way onshore, and that will continue to track eastward tonight. And so that will be bringing more chances of those showers. And again, isolated thunderstorms where we could see gusty winds, hear some lightning, see some lightning, hear some thunder, and possibly some localized downpours. So there's the showers filling in ahead of the cold front. And this looks to be the cold front as it makes its way eastward. You can see picking up more so in areas to the north and to the south. Treasure Valley spots not particularly favored, but not expecting to stay completely dry. The front continues to move to the east tomorrow morning, where some of that snow fills in around 6,000 to 6,500 feet, and we're likely waking up to some showers earlier in Magic Valley spots. So the cold front will be bringing some changes for us. Tomorrow we'll see more of those chances for showers and thunderstorms, mainly central mountains and the Magic Valley areas. Also, winds will be picking up tomorrow. So lots of changes are expected. We'll also be expecting cooler temperatures. Not a big change in temperature, but mainly you'll be noticing the wetter conditions, possibly stormy conditions, and the winds picking up. So for valley locations tomorrow in the Treasure Valley, up to 30 miles an hour, we're looking at those gusts. In the Magic Valley, we're looking at near 35 miles an hour for the maximum wind gusts for the day. You can see those temperatures dip slightly tomorrow, a little bit on the cooler side for Saturday, bump back up for Sunday, cooler back again on Monday, and then you can see more 70s ahead in our future.
All right, folks, thanks so much for being with us here on the 208 on a Thursday. We're close to Friday. Let's get to your comments. This person is Patrick, the 208. The only reason most corporations would be alerted to this, and we're talking about non-compete clauses, by the way, Andrew's story. The only reason most corporations would be alerted to this is if there was a function directly in line or affecting the jobs of the employee, like trade secrets or marketing ploys. If you're a bean counter or a warehouse worker, you should not be required. Patrick, it's a good thought there on the non-compete clauses. And we got one more. This person wants to know about the ticker tape bar at the bottom of our broadcast today. They're seeing it go clear to fuzzy and out of focus. We have not seen that on our end, so that might be on your end, but we could take a look at that. And by the way, there are some St. Jude Dream Home tickets still available. St. Jude Dream Home, you can check it out. There was a question, why are there still tickets available? Well, this year they released more tickets than ever. So your chance to win a house for $100 and help the community, still out there. All right, folks, we'll see you on Friday.